Good afternoon, Kyra Leroux. Welcome
Hello.
back on VH Berries.
Thank you.
I am extremely grateful because the angle from which you articulate your spoken words demonstrates your understanding of the ever-present time and your pulse of what a great composition is like. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you, Victor?
I am doing very good. And
Excellent.
with that boundless rhythm, being untouched by limits, there are very few people at your floor, except the clouds and some chemtrails over the Fraser Valley.
Wow.
An isolated place where phone calls do not work and where Rebecca will not be able to reach Samantha Anderson.
Ah, yes, the hunting party.
Absolutely, Kyra Leroux, I would love to discuss about that very recent television series called The Hunting Party on NBC, in which you're punctuating Rebecca Anderson's taxi ride while she was glancing at her FBI card.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that experience and about your character?
Yes, of course. So The Hunting Party is my new show. On, like you said, on NBC and also on Peacock. I play the lead, Rebecca, or Bex, played by Melissa Roxburgh. I play her daughter. So my name is Sam, or Samantha, and I am her adopted daughter, who has kind of a dark past. So you'll see in the first episode, I was adopted by her after being left when I was 13 years old in a fishing shed, left basically out freezing to die. It was a crazy day of filming that day because it was my very first day of filming, and they actually had me, at 22 years old, play my 13-year-old self. And so I was in my little ladybug pajamas. They basically made my entire body look like I was close to dying from hypothermia. So they glued icicles, little tiny fake pieces of ice onto my eyelids, onto my eyelashes and my eyebrows. They had fake ice all throughout my hair. I was airbrushed blue and gray. So it was a very eventful first day of filming.
It was Kyra Leroux, a first day of filming with a lot of very special events to
Yes.
age you by 10 years or more. And that character is named Samantha. How would you describe her personality?
Her personality, I would say, I mean, she's a lot like me, to be honest. She's outgoing and she's kind. I would definitely say she's super resilient. Like, she bounced back from what she went through in a pretty incredible way, I'd say. And so she's doing better now. She's in college. She's living her life. I would say she's got a really big heart. And she definitely cares a lot about Bex, and Bex is her family. So, yeah, they really love each other, which hopefully comes across in the show. Yeah.
it comes across the show Kyra Leroux, and it also starts with some movement because your character at the very beginning is heading straight into her room where there is a bunk bed and her friend texting from the upper bank.
Mm-hmm.
And in that particular scene, she is also asking a very specific question. Do you remember that poli-sci seminar?
Oh, yes. Yes, totally. So I'm a poli-sci major, I guess. It was actually funny shooting that scene that day. It's really funny that you mention the friend in the dorm room that's sitting up on the upper bunk, because I was directed to kind of like swat her legs out of the way as I'm grabbing the book that's underneath her. And I remember we had to do a couple of takes of it because they were trying to get me to just like shove the girl out of the way, and I was just being like so gentle about it. And he was like, what do you do? The director, Tor Frudenthal, he was like, what are you doing? Like, can you just move her out of the way? And I was like, all right, so be less Canadian about it. Got it. Okay. Right. This is an American show. I forgot.
Absolutely, Kyra Leroux. You had to push that person with a little more of energy.
Yeah.
And your character named Samantha is also very good at detecting the absence of slot machines in the background as she interjects. I don't hear any slots machine.
Yes, that is what I say. Yeah, so basically what happens in the show is Bex, my adopted mom, is like excommunicated from the FBI, or she's fired from her job when she decides to adopt me, and there's a bunch of there's a bunch of tension around my case that she solves, which I won't tell you about because I won't spoil the show. But essentially, she's fired from the FBI when she adopts me. And so she's working at like a casino. And it's from there that she's actually re-recruited into the FBI to start finding these serial killers that have broken out of this secret prison run by the CIA. And so essentially the premise of the show is she needs to go on this hunting party to find these serial killers that have already been caught. So they're using evidence from the first time that these serial killers were caught to then find them again, which is kind of interesting because it's like they're using these serial killers' patterns to re-trap them and using their own patterns against them. So it's kind of a different formula than you're used to seeing.
It is a different formula, Kyra Leroux. And you just mentioned the fact that you were handing a book, and that specific object is a Spanish novel by Miguel de Cervantes called Don Quixote, with a flashy red paperback cover. And there is also a bookmark placed very near the beginning, which means that Samantha has a large part of the story to discover.
Very true. I have not read Don Quixote myself. I actually had to look up how to say that when I was auditioning for the show. But I was like, hey, she must be pretty smart. So that tells me one thing I need to know about my character, I guess.
Absolutely, Kyra Leroux, and I also had to check the pronunciation because in French we say Don Quixote, which is completely different. And that book is often labeled as the best and most central work in the literature world. So we could describe it as a sweet treat with high likelihood of being made from dry fruits and eaten at Christmas, exactly like a sugar plum.
Wow, I'm getting poetry here today, Victor.
Absolutely, Kyra Leroux. And those two final words are part of the title of another project called Sugar Plumbed, in which you were portraying Nina. Can you tell us a little bit more about that Christmas movie?
Yeah, Sugar Plummed was really fun to film. It was my first Hallmark movie, my second Christmas movie, but my first Hallmark. So it's interesting because people always talk about Hallmark being, you know, happy, fun, lighthearted, whatever. But my storyline is about my mom. Basically, my character is Nina, and she is in 12th grade in high school, and she really wants to go to Berklee College of Music and become a singer. That's like her dream. And unfortunately, her mom, the whole movie essentially is telling her that it's not a good idea and that she shouldn't go, and essentially crushing her dreams. So I went into this thinking, okay, it's a Hallmark, it's going to be fun, lighthearted, whatever. But for me, my character is low-key getting her dreams crushed the entire time. So I went on set and I'm like, oh my gosh, this feels awful, because I'm just like showing up to work and getting my dreams crushed every day. I thought this was supposed to be the Hallmark Channel. So yeah, the movie is actually very fun and lighthearted in the end, and of course it all works out because it's Hallmark. But it really was a lot of fun to film, despite the fact that I get my dreams crushed.
It was, Kyra Leroux, a lot of fun to make that project. All through your dream were crushed. And that 1 hour and 24 minutes feature film carved out the essence of last year Christmas and cared about all the dreams of all the household and their chimney. And they also had the opportunity to witness your skills in music and more specifically playing the guitar.
Yeah, it was really fun, honestly. It's interesting because I wrote in my journal probably a month before booking Sugar Plumbed that one of my goals for the end of the year, or even for next year, just one of my goals in general, was to book a project where I got to sing. And 3 weeks later, this email shows up in my inbox: audition for Sugar Plumbed, and it's this character who's a singer. And next thing I knew, I was getting to sing my own original Christmas song in a Hallmark movie, and I'm in the studio and we're recording it, and I was singing up on stage in front of a group of people. So singing has always been a big part of my life, and music as well. I play a lot of instruments. I play piano, guitar, saxophone, trumpet, a little bit of drums. I play a lot of things, and I love music. So it was really cool to be able to do that on screen, which I haven't got to do before.
Furthermore, Kyra Leroux, it was something that was on your to-do list and you just checked that box. And how was it to prepare for the final scene in which you were singing, but also being on stage?
Yeah, it was really fun. I mean, I'm used to being on stage. I grew up as a musical theater performer and a dancer, mainly, not TV and film actor. I kind of transitioned to that more when I was in my teens. So for me, being on stage comes super naturally, although I was nervous. But luckily, we recorded the song in the recording studio a couple of weeks before we filmed that last scene. So by the time we filmed the last scene, I had already sung the song a bunch of times. So it was kind of just like getting up there and singing a song I had already sang 1,000 times before. But yeah, it was really fun, and we performed it we shot that scene in a real high school. So they have this program at the high school where high school students in the drama club, or in like not the drama club, but in drama class, or students who are interested in the film and TV industry, shadow crew members. So it was pretty cool because I had like an audience of all these kids from the high school that we were filming at, that were a part of our filming process that day and while we were filming at the school. So it was really fun.
Absolutely, Kyra Leroux. And that final live moment was carefully crafted by Nina to have a wide outreach, because she will probably share it on the social media, TikTok.
Yes, probably. I don't know. I'm not a huge TikToker myself. But there is a storyline in the movie about my brother and how he's kind of becoming a TikTok star with his dance moves. So that was really fun to see. Avon, who played my younger brother in the movie, was a joy to work with. And that was actually his first movie ever, which you would not know from watching the movie or being on set with him. But we had so much fun together. And by the end of the filming process, he definitely felt like my actual younger brother.
Actually, Kyra Leroux, I wasn't saying TikTok, but TikTok, which is the platform of Monster High 2.
Oh, TikTok, of course. Yes. Of course. I was like, why are you talking about TikTok? I don't even have TikTok. Yeah, TikTok, Monster High 2. Yeah, what a fun one that was. It feels like so long ago now, but I'm still good friends with everybody that we filmed that with. And it was such a wonderful experience. I'm sad that we're not getting a third movie.
You're sad that there is not a third chapter that could close a trilogy. And I am very curious about that character named Demi Boovais, who is an hybrid between a ghost and human. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so Demi Boovais, like you said, half ghost, half human. She is Claudine Wolfe's biggest fan. She is a new student at Monster High in the second movie, and she's able to go to Monster High because Claudine in the first movie made it possible for hybrids or half human, half monsters to be able to attend Monster High. So Demi Boovais is just like so in awe of Claudine and is so grateful to her for being able to go to Monster High. So that's a big part of the movie, and a big part of Demi Bouvais' arc is she's just like so in love with Claudine and thinks that Claudine is the coolest person ever. So it was really fun to connect with my inner fangirl on that one. And let me tell you, Mia Harris, who plays Claudine Wolfe, is somebody worth fangirling over. She is the best.
Absolutely, Kyra Leroux, the inner fan inside of yourself was very happy. And one very brilliant element of Monster High 2 is the costume made by Ellen Anderson, as well as the makeup team with 11 artists, and including assistants, and the 5 hair stylists. And I am very curious about how those costumes and makeup artifices and layers changed your compositional work.
That is a really good question. One second, my AirPod went flying. Sometimes they just pop out of my ears like crazy. Yeah, so that's a great question. Because the makeup and the hair and the costumes are such a huge part of Monster High. We spend 3 hours or more every morning getting ready. Basically, the way that my character was made up is they essentially had to airbrush me white first. So it's like starting with a blank piece of paper or a blank canvas. And then they would go back in with gray and basically my face would look like a white piece of paper, and then they would go in and they would re-add all of the definition in my face with gray. And if you look closely on my character, I have freckles also, which we would do every morning with splatter paint on my nose. I had black eye contacts, so instead of my eyes being green and black like they are normally, it's just all black. And so the contact itself looks like a black circle with a hole on the inside of it where your pupil goes so that you can see out of them. But when you're looking out of the contacts, you can see the black ring around your eye. So it kind of looks like the end of an old movie or something where the black screen comes in, or like right before you're about to pass out. So it's an interesting feeling all day being like, oh, am I about to pass out, or am I just wearing really weird black contacts for 15 hours of the day? So it is a very interesting experiment. Also wearing 6-inch platform heels while wearing contacts that make you feel like you're about to pass out, with lots of layers of clothing, and also filming in February in Vancouver in freezing weather. So there are a lot of things at play while filming those movies, but luckily the human beings that are on that set are so incredible, including the hair, makeup, wardrobe team, especially the hair, makeup, wardrobe team, honestly, and the special effects crew also. So honestly, all of those people and just the fun we had make all of the craziness of the costumes and the itchy wigs and everything worth it.
All of those surrounding and the environment made it worth it. And those contact lenses and high shoes are probably the reason why you partially moved to New York City to stay far away from Ellen Anderson closet and the 3-hour makeup process, but to stay closer to the rehearsal dance studio, as in You Are the Blue.
Yes, You Are the Blue was a short film that I shot a couple of summers ago that was directed by my longtime acting coach and friend, Beatrice King. So it's her directorial debut. The film actually got into a part of Cannes, which is pretty incredible. And yeah, I had a lot of fun filming that. I'm a dancer in the movie, and we had a great time. It's like a whole contemporary dance sequence. And it was actually really interesting because every one of the dancers were given a Greek goddess to embody while we were dancing. So the goddess that I was embodying while I was dancing, her name was Keto or Ceto. It starts with a C, but I think it's Keto. And she's kind of like a warrior princess. So I danced like a warrior in that movie, and I'm really happy with how it turned out.
You did, Kyra Leroux, dance like a warrior in that short film made by Beatrice King, in which you are playing the character of Ceto with a brown tank top and pale yellow shorts, talking to Arabia while leaning against the gym bar.
Yeah, that was a really fun day on set. I got to make fun of the main character, played by my friend Eden Summer Gilmore. So a lot of the people in that film were actually from the same acting class, from Beatrice's acting class. So I've known Eden and Connor, who plays her best friend in the movie, for years now. So it was really fun getting to be a part of a creative project all together with our mentor, who we all had been working with for multiple years. So it was definitely a very full circle moment being able to work all together, especially with Beatrice.
It was Kyra Leroux, a full circle moment working with Beatrice King once again. And that short film is made with a scene in which there is a dance group choreography. Can you tell us a little bit more about the process and the behind the scenes of those 50 seconds?
Yeah, so we went through, we only had like a couple of rehearsals for that. And it was a long time ago, so I'm kind of having trouble remembering, if I'm honest. But yeah, I mean, we had a lot of fun, and like I said, we were all given Greek goddess characters to embody, and Beatrice actually composed the music for that sequence herself, I'm pretty sure. Actually, maybe you don't want to quote me on that because I don't know if that's true. But I'm like, wait, is that true? I don't know. I forget. But the music that we used for that was composed specifically for the movie. So it was interesting because Beatrice was so heavily involved in the piece of choreography. And I remember her saying like she wanted it to be super chaotic. And the short film actually is the short film actually in the short film, the main character is struggling with a hidden disease or an autoimmune disorder, alopecia areata, which is basically when your hair starts falling out, and it's a disorder that makes you lose your hair. And so I know that Beatrice in the dance sequence, she really wanted to highlight all of our hair. So we all had our hair down for the dance sequence, and our hair was all like flying around. And I remember her telling us to move like water. And It was a very intense and dynamic movement piece. And a lot of it was to highlight our hair and this very like chaotic, strong feminine energy that Beatrice wanted us to emit. So it was really cool, and it felt really powerful to be able to, with a group of 10 or so other young women, just like fully get into it and just unleash this kind of beast almost, with all of our hair flying around and all of us wearing super neutral colors in this dance studio. And it was definitely a very chaotic, controlled, because we knew the choreography, but there was a lot of lifts and there was a lot of, like I said, super dynamic movement. So it was a lot of fun.
It was very controlled, but always with the hair flying in the air. And I can feel the passion when you're talking about dancing and the stage. And I feel that this is one of the reasons why you decided to partially move to New York City. Can you tell us a little bit more about your plans that may include the stage?
Yes. So I moved to New York City in September of 2022. And I've been living there on and off. Basically, I usually work in Vancouver when I'm filming. So I'll film something a few months in Vancouver, then go to New York and train and meet up with my friends and network and get to know other artists and see shows and get inspired. And then I go back to Vancouver and work. So it's a pretty good life setup, honestly. And for the last couple of years, I've been working towards my visa. I'm actually just one step away from being able to get my visa, so that I can move to New York, hopefully a bit more full-time, and pursue theater there, because that is like my number one dream and has been since I was a kid, is to be on Broadway. I just was in New York actually last week, and I saw this show called Cult of Love on Broadway, and it was incredible. I mean, ever since I was little, I've really wanted to be in a Broadway musical, but I never really knew how incredible Broadway plays could be. So that's definitely a goal of mine, just in life in general. Hopefully it can happen within the next couple years, but you never know. We'll see. I think it can. But that's my plan for the rest of this year. Is I want to get my visa, I want to go back to New York, and I want to start auditioning for off-Broadway and Broadway theater in New York. When I was when I was finishing high school, I was actually deciding between going into musical theater and moving to Toronto in Canada, because that's where most of our theater is, and pursuing theater right away, or staying in Vancouver and pursuing TV and film. And I chose to stay in Vancouver and pursue TV and film because I already had relationships with the casting directors there, and I also figured like it's easier, or maybe not easier, because it's still really hard to be an actor and it's really hard to do what I do, honestly. It's so like the ups and downs are so crazy. But in my little 17-year-old brain, I was like, okay, well, either I can spend 10 years working my way up in the ensemble in Canada just to somehow get a visa to move to New York and start all over again, or I can just make a name for myself in TV and film and get to Broadway that way. And so, I mean, I booked Riverdale right out of high school, so I guess it's kind of working out, even though I look back and I'm like, I made it sound so easy.
You are one step away from that visa. And in conclusion, I am looking forward to sympathize with your upcoming craft, which from our first conversation in episode 146 to today's episode 246 has given me exactly 100 reasons to express how meaningful your work truly is. Thank you very much, Kyra Leroux.
Thank you so much, Victor. I can't believe it was 100 episodes ago. That feels so special.